surprising when you looked at the records going into that match, but credit Duke for pushing Georgia Tech, a very tough team. And the challenge for Georgia Tech is, can we rebound emotionally and you know, mentally to come in and focus the way we need to when we're playing against a tough Tar Heels team today.
Carolina starts with an attack down the middle. Alexis Engelbrecht, who was huge in their win on Friday against Clemson, had 7 kills in their 4th and decisive set. Gets the first kill here. Mabry Schaffmaster to serve for the Tar Heels, one of the best in the ACC, but sends it long.
On Friday night, Kyle, North Carolina having 10 service aces, which, you know, if you have double-digit service aces against an opponent, you usually are in the win column. I mean, that's putting a lot of pressure on those folks across the net. So whoever wins the serve and pass game today is going to have an edge.
Bertolini, one of the best servers as well, but Carolina passing well, gets a quick kill.
2 quick kills out of the middle. You love seeing establishing that setter-hitter connection with the middles early, because both these teams are mostly pin dominant. So if you can add that balance early, it's pretty huge.
That's really interesting when you look at the makeup of these two teams, the stat sheets, especially from Friday. They both had wins, but they did it very differently. For Georgia Tech, it was 2 players, and they fed those 2 pins the entire game. Bertolini, we had mentioned already, Otene, the other one. But Carolina spreads it out. They had 5 players with double-digit kills and nobody above 13.
Yeah, it's, you know, very different scouting reports if you're going against these opponents. And, you know, for the Tar Heels, you have to circle number 5, Bertolini, and number 9, Otena, because those are the 2 guns that really stir the offense for the Ramblers. And if you're on the Georgia Tech side, you know, it's a much more balanced offense you're going to see from the Tar Heels, so you just need to kind of read your cues, play it straight up.
What a rally, and for it to end on a miss hit. Just tipped by the freshman Taylor, but it gives Carolina the point in the lead.
A middle hitter paintbrush will always score.
Taylor, the freshman for Carolina in the middle, actually coming off of a match where she saw the most attacks in her career. Carolina really started to get the middles involved after the 2nd set against Clemson. Jump ball at the net. Taylor won, but kept alive by the Yellow Jackets. And the whistle going to come in late. It'll be Carolina's point.
Yeah, kind of that rare double contact now. You know, not that it went off of your hands, but it hits 2 parts of your body, except for that very first contact. They'll call the double.
Taylor Eisert, one of the 2 setters for Carolina, serves off her fingertips and a kill near side. Tamara Otene, the sophomore out of New Zealand, a transfer though from Illinois State. She was the lone bright spot in terms of efficiency against Duke. It was a tough night for the Yellow Jackets, no matter if it was a pin or a middle, but she hit 280, which was easily the tops on the team.
And that's a big reason why they kept feeding her the rock. If you get a good hitting percentage on the road against a good opponent, you're going to earn more reps.
She ended up with 75 attacks and a team-high 27 kills.
We're getting an early taste of the offense of Georgia Tech and how much they use those outside pin hitter weapons. They can come out of the back row, out of the front court. They get a lot of volume, and you can see why.
But nicely came this side. Carolina blockers were ready. Mistimed on the middle there. They were trying to get Pierce, the senior, involved.
Yeah. Milano, the setter, you could tell she was trying to time that just perfect. Here the middle's coming around for a transition 1 and just couldn't quite connect.
Good serve from Carolina, the slide. Not going to get a point. May, with good hustle, keeps it alive, and a swing for Schaffmaster. But the point is going to go to Georgia Tech.
Calling Schaffmaster in the net. Boy, I wouldn't be so surprised if we see a challenge here. In this match, you want to ride all the momentum that you can have, especially if you're in your home court. Coach Shaw doesn't like that call. He's talking to the down official, but doesn't look like any challenge is coming.
Point stays with the Yellow Jackets. 2-point lead, though, for the home team, the Tar Heels. Schaffmaster not going to get called for anything on that one.
And you had to guess they were going to go right back to her. And with with authority, she puts it to the floor. And if you've got a player like Schaffmaster, who's just been so dominant through her career, and there's a questionable call against her, you don't think we're going to set her the next ball and let her decide it?
And you've got to be guessing that Collier, the head coach on the sideline, is thinking, don't make her angry. Don't, come on. Near side set. Bertolini a little behind on it. Here's Schaffmaster again. Look at her contort her body. That's one of the things that has really made her an elite attacker. Hampton with a dig. Another swing for Schaffmaster. Dig near side. It was Velez. A whistle. Point going to be for Georgia Tech. Violation against the Tar Heels.
Well, in the early going here, we're seeing multiple net violations. So if we're going to extend rallies, we're seeing great defense from both teams. It's going to come down to your discipline probably as a blocker. As you recover block, as the rally continues, can you stay clean and stay out of the net?
Here's a set for Foster near side. Dig was from Sandin. Schaffmaster heads up play, the defense collapsing, and she pushed it to the back.
She has such range as an attacker, and that's one of her best attributes, Kyle. She can score from many positions, but it's the types of shots that she can hit, the disguise that she brings that makes her so effective.
Gives Carolina the three-point advantage as the sophomore Zoe Barrett serves. Barrett is going to pick up the first ace for Carolina.
And really the first errant pass we've seen so far in this first set. I think both teams came out passing extremely well against tough serves. We'll see if she goes after her again. Same target, this time she handles it.
And they get a point.
Yeah, and I love that adjustment there because they had been running kind of a higher slide tempo to Wiley, and that time they sped it up. It's a little faster tempo, get her more one-on-one. Good adjustment there offensively from Georgia Tech.
Logan Wiley, the true freshman, didn't get her first career start until just about a week and a half ago against Clemson. But has made an impact for this team. There's an impact for Carolina. Chelsea Thorpe, who led the way offensively on Friday, picks up the kill.
And you know, Kyle, she's someone, she makes her money on the right side, but she can swing effectively on the left side, as we just saw. She's a very versatile attacker.
Big time get in the transfer portal. Just a sophomore, started at Ohio State. Carolina with an opportunity to try for Engelbrecht down the middle. Bump set for Mogridge, the former Tar Heel. Almost got a point. May got it over somehow, though. There's a point for a kill for Wiley.
And I don't know how she hit that ball as well as she did. It was a little bit of a broad jump approach, super tight to the net, but she controls her body enough to get a good swing. And, you know, in the middle of that rally, I saw the net moving, and I was wondering if they were going to whistle it for another net violation, but they let play on, so.
Serve handled well by May. Carolina in system, and that one is long from Hampton, the sophomore.
This is a really good test for Carolina because so far we've seen really long rallies. And the mindset there, if you're an attacker, is you have to stay patient. You want to be assertive, but you have to stay patient. You don't want to try to get an awesome kill to end it early if you're not in a good position to do so.
Well, they've got one of the best in the country at the line right now. Bertolini averages over a half of an ace per set, which is good for 17th in the country. And she picks up one right there.
Yep, going after Hampton.
Carolina will set Hampton, little retribution.
Yeah, and I love that adjustment from Sophie because, you know, when you're going for high hands, maybe you're a little bit off balance, you drive it deep, and then she comes right back and sees the seam well, clear to the floor. And I love the confidence in Barrett to go right back to her.
Hampton up to 190 kills on the season. That's second most for the Tar Heels. There for the block. It'll hit the pin, though, and it'll be a point for Georgia Tech.
Now we've seen two lower tempo sets to the right side of the court for Georgia Tech, both ending with kills, one on the slide, one on the right side there. So the left front blockers for the Tar Heels have to take inventory and be aware of that.
Deep serve Hampton, set for Hampton. She gets the kill, even with two blockers there.
She is just such a phenomenal athlete, Kyle, that she can hit over the block and into the meat of the court. And as a backcourt defender, how do you line up? You know, do you play a little bit deep because she can't hit deep to a perimeter, but you got to suck in and maybe take one for the team? It's a tough read.
Just a sophomore out of Jessup, Maryland. Shaftmaster on the back line, good soft hands. Another chance for the Yellow Jackets. They go down the middle. Taylor, the freshman, was there. Near side, Otene.
Boy, what you can do on your side, we can do on ours. I mean, this is a heavyweight bout, two teams going toe-to-toe. This is a big match, as we've mentioned, you know, not just for this weekend and ACC seeding, but perhaps beyond for NCAA consideration. So both teams putting their best foot forward here.
Hampton from the near side sends it wide. Couple of attack errors against her here in this first set. We've got ourselves a tied match. Viv Mogridge, the former Tar Heel out of Lutz, Florida in her junior season now, floats that one long and it'll give the lead back to Carolina.
I think both teams are starting to settle in a little bit with those long rallies that, you know, you get amped up for a match like this, right? You're both in the top 25. Both teams really want this one. And so whichever team can kind of settle in and find a rhythm sooner is probably going to get on a little run.
Hampton being fed a lot here in this first set. Slide from Georgia Tech, executed perfectly as Wiley gets the kill.
Yeah, and you've got a great 1-2 combo there, if you will, offensively, because if you are in a fast tempo slide, the left front blocker has to cheat out to kind of guard that. Well, that leaves the pipe open coming out of the middle back, which is a bread and butter of the offense here for Georgia Tech.
Cross court set. Shaftmaster with a big swing. Yellow Jackets will get it back across, maybe not. Second opportunity, back to the near side. At a point, Georgia Tech retakes the lead.
Boy, tight set there, Bertolini, and she sneaks it through. I think Imani Foster, if she could just be a little quicker into the seam, she probably gets a stuff block there.
Nice for Shaftmaster. Blockers there, but May kept it alive. Second opportunity, blockers said no way.
That's just a tough play for a left side attacker. I mean, Shaftmaster has all the experience in the world, but it's kind of a bang-bang, up in coverage, hop and pop kind of deal, and the block is already sitting right there.
Back and forth they go here in the first set at the first time out. It's Georgia Tech by 2 here in Carmichael Arena.
Kids who are in the 8th grade or younger can join for just $35 per year. For more information, visit CarolinaKidsClub.com.
Kyle Stroud, Corey Garland with you on a Sunday afternoon in a heavyweight matchup. 2 top 25 teams. And a close one here through the first half of this set. Right now, Georgia Tech with a slight lead. And Corey, you said to me in the break, it's those unforced errors in these kind of games that usually determine who comes away with a win.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Both teams are playing at a high level. You've got 2 highly ranked teams that are continuing winning streaks. And so if you're playing at that kind of level, it's going to come down more to the mistakes that happen, not necessarily the points you earn. Both of these programs are going to earn points at a high clip. So whoever can manage their unforced errors and just have maybe 1 or 2 fewer than the other side is probably going to win.
Kill by Pierce gave Georgia Tech the 3-point lead, which was their biggest of this set, but the service error gives Carolina the ball and the serve as Aaron Curtis, the freshman, checks in. Curtis with a couple of aces on Friday coming off the bench. Has a good serve, but Georgia Tech has found something with that slide. Pierce with another kill there.
Yeah, she's 3 for 4 running that play, and that's something that the left front blockers for UNC have to make that adjustment. They've got to start cheating out a little bit sooner because the tempo's so fast. And, you know, if it's underset, you can recover back in, but getting some kind of blocking presence against that's going to be huge.
Pierce to the bench. Les in, she'll be back to serve. Carolina come near side. Amani Foster nearly got the kill. Good job to keep it alive, though, by Fisher. And we'll get the kill on the near. That's Bertolini. 4-point Georgia Tech lead, and that's going to force Carolina into a timeout. Biggest of the match so far for the Yellow Jackets.
Keep up with Carolina Volleyball all season long by liking Carolina Volleyball on Facebook and following at UNC Volleyball on Instagram and X. For information on UNC Volleyball and other UNC sports, check out GoHeels.com. And fans, please scan the QR code on the video board to take a short survey about your experience at Carmichael Arena today. Thank you.
Carolina had a lead as big as 3 here in the first set. Currently find themselves down by 4, 18-14. 25th ranked Carolina, 16th ranked Yellow Jackets. It's the second top 25 matchup that Carmichael Arena has had in the last couple of weekends. With the Tar Heels coming out over Florida State a little over a week ago. Carolina desperately needs a point here out of the timeout. Isert keeps that one alive. Set for Schaffmaster. Blocker's got enough of it.
What an up by May.
Again, it's Mabry. This time she's going to go long, though.
And those are one of those unforced errors we're talking about. And this kind of match, and we're already seeing it right here in set 1, is going to test the patience of Carolina. They're a very good team. I think they're used to scoring a little bit faster than, 5, 6, 7 reps to get it. So if the rally goes longer than 5, 6, 7 balls, can you stay mentally focused, still transition hard, attack the court, and not have those rallies end with an unforced error? But good response right there by Schaffmaster. You want those quick kills, 100%. But against this team today, I think those are going to be few and far between.
It'll allow Mike Shaw to make some substitutions as Zoe Barrett goes back to serve. Chelsea Thorpe also back in for Carolina. Riley can't get the kill as May is positioned well. Blocker's a little bit late. Schaffmaster gets another.
Yep, and a great adjustment defending the slide. That was one of the first times that they slowed down Wiley. She's been so effective running that slide off 1 foot behind the setter.
Riley a little off balance, didn't get a great swing on it. Schaffmaster tried to send that one all the way to the back line. And goes long on that.
Yeah, and North Carolina was in the driver's seat on the first rep from that. They defended the slide, they defended kind of that junk play and transition, and you want to try to push Georgia Tech and get them out of system, but a couple of unforced errors there and 3 or 4 points keeps the lead for Georgia Tech.
Yellow Jackets near side. There's the block for the Tar Heels. Engelbrecht. Shaftmaster there.
And that's the kind of play that can spark a run, especially when you've got Shaftmaster back serving now. You know, stuff block against a great opponent is a momentum swing. It gets the crowd back into it. See if it can spark a run here.
Carolina needs a run, down 3 late in the first set. Shaftmaster, a couple of aces away from moving herself into 5th all-time. Currently 1 behind Dawn Wood.
Wow.
Make it tied with Dawn Wood.
That was an absolute missile that I think showed up on the airport radar.
Back and forth, first set continues as Carolina forced Georgia Tech into a timeout. Both teams have had a lead. It's currently Georgia Tech in front by 2 with Shaftmaster at the line for the Tar Heels. She'll put that one into the net. Service error gives it to the Yellow Jackets.
I'm not sure what happened there. It looked like a good toss, and maybe at the last minute she decided to go a little off speed. But Georgia Tech will take the error 100%.
Gives them a big-time server at the line as Bertolini picks up her 2nd ace of the set.
Yep, another quick.
Against the Blue Devils.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with Georgia Tech when you consider their match on Friday night, going 5. Didn't play their best volleyball, but so far today, they're playing at a very high level.
Been able to spread the attack out. 5 kills from their middles, Pierce and Wiley. Carolina with a much-needed point out of the timeout.
And it had been a while since we'd called Chelsea Thorpe's name. I think that was a great decision. Get her back involved, have a quick side out, and now we're again within striking distance with one of the best servers back in May.
Second kill of the match for Thorpe. Top of the screen, and it's a kill. Mogridge, her second.
Boy, I'm not sure you would have thought this coming into the match, but we talked about the outside hitters for Georgia Tech, but who is hitting super well right now for the Yellow Jackets? You've got their right side and both of their middles hitting over 350, 400. So the players not playing left side for the Yellow Jackets are tearing it up right now.
Carolina couldn't get the kill on the first time. Second opportunity, it's going to work just fine. Down by 3, though. Need to go on a run. Yeah, I was looking at that and thought to myself, we talked so much about their 2 big hitters. They've got 5 attackers with multiple kills here in this first set.
Yeah, spreading the wealth, which is a little bit different recipe than what they ran with Friday.
Go to the big swing of 10, but it's a block for Carolina, his second.
Yeah, I'm very interested in 2 things here. Who is Iser going to go after in serve receive? Is she going after a 10A again, or is she going to spread it around? And what play set does Georgia Tech run off the pass? Good pass can run anything, back to the middle.
Tried Pierce, near side, and there's a kill for Otene.
And I think you have to give an assist on that kill to the middle Wiley because she held the block just enough to create that seam.
4th kill of the set for Otene. That leads the way for the Yellow Jackets. Mogridge serving, set point for Georgia Tech. We'll play another one. Hampton picks up her 4th kill.
Georgia Tech making a sub, putting their setter back in. And prior to that, when they're serving, especially for set point, we saw that on Friday night, they'll make a blocking sub with their setter, and they'll put number 18, Laura Fisher, as a 6'3" right side in as a blocking sub. So keep that in the back of your mind. If we get here again, if they get set points, you know, and it's close, they'll probably make that same adjustment.
Both coaches know how important this first set is. The chess match continues. Julia Bollinger in to serve, the freshman. Second set point for Georgia Tech. Good serve and a heads-up play at the net, but it's going to be a point for Carolina.
Oh, wow. Wow.
They stole the set.
Wow. You know, they have been watching the net very closely. We've seen a few net calls called already. You know, it wasn't obvious to me in live action if she touched the net. If she did, it may have just been a graze, but just enough to get the officials' attention. I thought a very heads-up play on a tight ball, her being aggressive and going up and turning and catching the block a little bit late for Carolina. And I also was curious if maybe we'd see a challenge because, again, how important this set is. If that call is reversed, then you take the set. So maybe that's something they're still considering, but
do you think because the calls have been so tight on the net violations that factors into, all right, maybe this isn't what we want to challenge. Don't burn a challenge, but let's call a timeout. Let's regroup. Still 1 point, and you got the set win.
Yeah, I think that's a philosophy for sure. There's also a conversation that you have with your setter, Emiliano, and say, hey, were you in the net? You know, just be honest with me. If you touch the net at all, we're not going to challenge. But if you're adamant that you did not touch the net, then I think I'd support my player there and go ahead and challenge because that would give you the set. That's a huge start here in this match.
No movement towards that challenge card. We're going to play this. Will be 3rd set point for the Yellow Jackets.
And that's also shown a lot of confidence in your team. You've been passing well this entire set. You know, Carolina has 1 ace. Let's run our best play call out of serve receive. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a slide here to Pierce.
Deep serve, it's going to go out of bounds. And the error will give the set to Georgia Tech. Back and forth with Mike Shaw in year 2 and Coach Collier in her 11th season. Yellow Jackets have been getting the better of the Tar Heels. Can they turn things around as Bollinger is going to get an ace? Maybe not. Great hustle from Georgia Tech.
Wow.
It's going to be a point for the Yellow Jackets. Gotta love that as a coach, to see hustle turned into a point eventually.
If you go hard and aggressively on defense, good things happen. And I'm just amazed at how Georgia Tech can turn those scramble plays into attack attempts and attack opportunities.
Mogridge with the kill, and there's the third ace of the match for Bertolini.
And after set one, it's pretty obvious that Georgia Tech is going to target Sophie Hampton anytime she's in the pattern. She really needs to hold her own here.
Overpass, it'll be inbounds, an opportunity for Georgia Tech to get a kill. And they do. 3 in a row to start things off here in the second set.
Well, we talked about the middles and the right side for Georgia Tech being hot, but I'm super impressed with the range for all their attackers, even their left sides, which coming into top billing, we knew that they were going to be good. But if you're shot charting at home, you probably have little red dots on every part of the court so far for Georgia Tech, and we've only played a set.
Hampton handled that serve much better. Great dive. Barrett gets the pancake. Down the middle, though.
That is so tough, and great stuff from Wiley. I mean, she's just so, the length of Wiley is so impressive. She hit over a double block and in front of the backcourt defender. That's just a tremendous athletic play by number 7.
4 players with 3 kills in the match for Georgia Tech, all led by Oteni. She's got 5. It's a 4-0 lead for the Yellow Jackets here in set number 2. Carolina forced into an early timeout here in second set. They lost the first one, close 25-23. And Corey, we talked about the difference in the match like this. It's going to be unforced errors. And in the first set, it's exactly what it was.
That's exactly what it was. It was 3 or 4 unforced error difference, where Georgia Tech had 2 unforced attack errors where Carolina had 5. And if you're at home, you're thinking 5 unforced attack errors is a pretty clean set, and it is. But when you're playing on this stage at this level and your opponent only has 2, that's the difference.
Carolina gets the very much needed point. First one of the set. See if Mabry can go on a run. Nope, into the net. Gives it right back to Georgia Tech. All the momentum right now on that Georgia Tech side. How do you flip it if you're Carolina?
It starts with controlling what you can control, which is those unforced errors. You know, Georgia Tech has done a great job of extending rallies, and so, again, being patient during long rallies, working points. Don't fear that long rally and get impatient. But if it takes 5, 6 swings for us to score, let's have that mentality, because, you know, right now Georgia Tech is firing on all cylinders, and you have to expect this is going to be a battle the rest of the day. Nothing's going to come easy. 4
kills, no errors on 5 swings here in the second set for Georgia Tech. And if you're Mike Shaw and the staff, you don't want to burn that second timeout already, but you're in that danger zone of this thing getting away from you. May with a bump set, and somehow gets in.
And those are the kind of plays that you can build a little bit of momentum back on your side. You know, that was just a great shot by May on the scramble. I don't know that she was thinking going for the bump free ball kill, but you know, but she'll take it.
She'll go back to serve now. Not the big swinger, but she's got a tough floating serve. Carolina in scramble mode. They're not going to get it over. One thing Georgia Tech has really done well is keeping Carolina from going on runs.
Yeah.
Tar Heels really good at keeping teams out of system. Not today, though. Georgia Tech has handled it well.
They have answered the call for sure. You look at how aggressive they're playing, and their defense and their service game, which is starting to take off here in set 2. But their defense, I think, is really what's been so impressive. Giving your front court multiple opportunities. They've stayed assertive. They came in today with the mindset to win this match, and they're checking all the boxes.
They average about 1.5 aces per set. That was their 4th already. Another good one gives them an opportunity offensively, but Chelsea Thorpe and Jackie Taylor deny the swing.
And I love the energy from Thorpe there. She came down on fire trying to cheer her teammates, get some energy back on her side. Any little victory that you have at a point like that, a stuff block is a huge play in this kind of a match. You want that to spark a little bit of a run.
3rd block of the match for the Tar Heels. Back to that slide for the Yellow Jackets. It's another block. Hampton there for the solo.
And another big-time net presence play from the Tar Heels against a play that had been scoring seemingly at will for Georgia Tech. Great block by Hampton.
Tar Heels within 4. Georgia Tech tries to run that slide again. They were off on it, but fortunate that it goes off the block and out of bounds. They get the point. Yeah,
that's a great adjustment by Pierce. I love the fact that Milano went right back to her as the setter. You know, you just get blocked. Let's feed her again, and she made an adjustment going a deep drive shot off the block.
For Pierce, that was her 4th kill of the match, 2nd highest for Georgia Tech. Dig from Velez goes back to the Carolina side. Foster gonna make sure there's no dig this time.
Both sides are showing great adjustments from their attackers. If you block me or dig me, I'm gonna make a little bit of adjustment, attack a different area of the court, a different part of your hands, and test things. High-level volleyball here.
It was the first kill for Imani Foster, which is a surprise because in conference play, she's actually the 2nd highest kill percentage for the Carolina Tar Heels, just over 3%. Sends that one wide, though, and the attack error gives it back to Georgia Tech.
Yeah, she had that line shot, just missed slightly wide. You want to stay assertive. Those are, again, an unforced attack error, so you just have to be a little bit more careful. You have a smaller margin for error if you're the Tar Heels right now.
Taylor at the net. Good scramble defense from Georgia Tech. Somehow they get an attack opportunity. Schaffmaster will put it away for Carolina.
She is so good, Kyle, at that hop and pop quick transition play. When you kind of get the junk a little bit, it's kind of back up in your face right away. You don't get a full transition. She can still score, and with authority.
6th kill of the match for Mabry Schaffmaster. Team high for the Tar Heels. Here's the freshman Taylor to serve. Some miscommunication there on the Georgia Tech side.
Yeah, a rare miscue. And that's another point that North Carolina can add to their momentum here. Anytime your opponent's going to give you a mistake, let's take it. Continue to ride this wave. But the passing for Georgia Tech has really been stellar today. So if they can continue to pass well, they can run every offensive system. That time on the run.
Schaffmaster got a piece of it, so did the tape, which helped out. And Mabry will get the kill. Carolina within 2, which is the closest they've been since it was 2-0.
Well, you mentioned it earlier, Kyle, but it's so impressive to watch Schaffmaster contort her body, show you one thing that she might hit line and go at your hands, and then go cross court, wrist away. Great disguise in all of her shot making.
Good passing there from Georgia Tech, and when in system, easily able to get the kill.
And a great adjustment by the setter, Milano, by running a quicker tempo there. That was a little bit of a faster ball that we saw to the left side so far today. So, you know, when you're having trouble siding out, you've got good attackers, let's try to get the ball to them a little quicker, create some seams.
The kill for Bertolini, her 4th. Foster top of the screen, off the blockers. Back to Bertolini, Carolina blockers there. 3rd of the set and the 4th of the match.
A great series by Imani Foster, an aggressive swing. She made the adjustment, going high hands into the seam, and then to recover block and get a stuff. Boy, great stuff from number 8 there.
Barrett clips the tape on the serve. Another slide, and that one is going to be wide. The error is starting to build up for Georgia Tech now.
Yeah, North Carolina's made a great adjustment with their left side blockers. They've seen enough of that slide. I'm sure that was a talking point in between sets. We've got to adjust our blocking position against that. And now you're starting to frustrate the middles a little bit of Georgia Tech.
Yellow Jackets have had the lead the entire time in this set. They'll maintain it. And Bertolini will go back to serve now.
Yeah, and that's the 3rd time we've seen that deep cross-court shot over the high hand. So if I'm May, the next time Bertolini's front row, I might make an adjustment, play a little deeper.
Hampton does a good job with that serve. Thorpe right into the net, though.
I'm a little surprised they didn't whistle that play dead. I'm not sure that ball crossed
That was right in front
the
of
tape.
the
Yeah,
judge.
but they let play on.
Time to serve goes to May. Carolina with a set for Schaffmaster. A little behind her, no problem though.
Credit May with a stellar pass off of a great serve from Bertolini, and that opened up the offense. And then you also have to give a mini assist to Engelbrecht. She ran that 31. The middle went with her, and that gave Schaffmaster one-on-one on the right side.
10th assist for Barrett. Game high 8th kill for Schaffmaster. Thorpe with a heads-up play.
Sometimes the ball comes right to you in those situations, and if you get opportunities like that, if you're Carolina, you have to take care of it and convert those opportunities. Those overpass kills are huge.
The wherewithal to know where the open court was. Overpass. Georgia Tech got it over. Here's Thorpe for the Tar Heels to tie it.
Wow, tight set, heads up play by Chelsea Thorpe to go off the hand into the antenna. And watch out, the Tar Heels have tied it up and stole that momentum back.
Carolina was down 7-1 and then 8-2. They had already burned a timeout. Credit the players for battling, composing themselves, and getting back in. Looking to take the lead on this one. Can Thorpe give it to them? Engelbrecht.
And I love that decision by Zoe Barrett, the setter for Carolina. It's been a long time since they've ran anything quick in the middle, and in transition, it's a great time to run it. Boy, all the momentum swinging back for the Tar Heels. And how impressive is that when you're down 1-0, you're down 7-1, 8-2 in set 2, and you answer the call by playing great defense. I mean, Georgia Tech has been passing well, so it's not like, you know, you're getting it done from the service line per se. So that means you have to get it done defensively. A couple of stuff blocks, but how have they been swinging so aggressively, earning a few free balls, earning a few easier responses, and then they're able to cash in. Great stuff.
And not making those unforced errors that we talked about. They did in the first set. They've only got 2 errors in this entire set here, hitting 350 as a squad. And from 8-2, it's been a 12-5 Carolina run.
Yeah, just great stuff from the Tar Heels. And I don't think we could state it enough that them playing clean and assertive, that's the key, right? You want to be assertive, but you also have to attack the court. You have to serve the court, make your opponents play. And right now, they're showing Georgia Tech that we're strapped in. We're here for the long haul. We're going to have a battle.
If you're Collier on the other side, are you looking at your team saying, hey, it's just a 1-point match or 1-point game here. We're in the middle of the set. Let's clean things up and get back to what we were doing.
Yeah, it's more just kind of settle down, right? This isn't a big deal. We're up 1-0. We've been in control in this set, and how can we get it back? Well, it's about matching their intensity level with our communication, taking care of any opportunities we get on our side. But then I'm talking with my setter about what do we want to run out of this serve receive and maybe on free balls to give ourselves the best chance offensively.
Out of the Georgia Tech timeout, Carolina with the first lead of the set. Big dig from May. Block there for Georgia Tech, but good coverage from Carolina. Here's a free ball for the Yellow Jackets. Hampton right up on the net. A nice rally between these two. Thorpe.
Wow.
She's been the big hand in this set. It's Engelbrecht at the middle.
And if there's been a small Achilles heel for Georgia Tech on this big run from Carolina, it's been a little bit of drop in their ball control. We've seen a couple of overdigs, a couple of overpasses, you know, and that's been a little bit of a difference that's kept Carolina on this run.
Schaffmaster long on that serve.
And Carolina has made a great adjustment on defense. The last 3 or 4 swings from the left sides of Georgia Tech, you see the Carolina defense playing deeper, more of a perimeter defense, and that's allowed them to dig more balls.
Wiley serving for the Yellow Jackets. Targets Hampton, handled well. Thorpe gets the swing. That one just misses the tape.
And when you have a massive run like that, everything's clicking. Sometimes the adrenaline is running. So it's really important that, you know, they understand what they're running for.
Just the second error against Thorpe in 14 attempts. They go right back to her. Blockers there. Hampton tools it off the blockers. Heads up play. Carolina back out in front by 1. Maybe the deep serve in system near side. Mogridge gets the kill.
Wow. Boy, that tempo is so hard to block. You almost have to commit block on it. She has just enough seam there to sneak it through, but what a heavy arm from Mogridge.
Has been very efficient in her return to Chapel Hill. 4 kills on 7 swings, no errors. Serves now to try and give the Yellow Jackets the lead back. Backline swing for Schaffmaster. Yellow Jackets just bump it over. Taylor down the middle gets the kill.
Those are those opportunities that haven't come very often so far this afternoon, but when you do get that free ball, when you do get an easy reply from Georgia Tech, you have to convert those if you want to continue this streak and take set number 2.
How about the 2 middles for Carolina? Engelbrecht hitting 667, Taylor at 400. Neither has committed an attack error. They don't have a ton of volume, but take care of what you get, and that's what they're doing. 1-point lead for Carolina. Here's the slide for the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, and Hampton's upset with herself. She's immediately came down and realized she needs to get further out, take a bigger step with her block move to seal that line. Anytime an attack from an antenna can go outside the blocker but back into the court, you know you're not lined up very well.
Nice job by Isert to keep that ball alive and give Taylor an opportunity. Chance, though, for Georgia Tech. Top of the screen. Bertolini couldn't get the kill. There's the block for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, and a good adjustment by Foster. We've seen enough volume on the right side of the Georgia Tech offense that the left front blockers need to continue to make that adjustment, get a little bit further outside, force them back cross court toward your defense.
Back to Pierce.
And as soon as you make that adjustment, then Georgia Tech makes one of their own where they run kind of the back one, a really fast 1-foot takeoff behind the setter. And that's that cat and mouse game within the game where you run slides to the antenna, the left front blocker has to go out to the antenna to block you. Now you come back inside.
Tar Heels go to Foster, top of the screen. Blockers are set up. Bertolini. Second chance for Foster, gets it done. Didn't have a kill in the first set, but she's got a pair here in set number 2.
Now we've got a 2-hitter rotation for Georgia Tech. They did have their blocking sub in, Fisher, just a moment ago. Now she's back out. So, you know, if you're Carolina, obviously have to track Wiley. Does she go all the way back for a full slide? Is she going to run the back one? But anticipate something 1-foot takeoff behind the setter here.
Here's the senior Marissa Meyerhofer serving for Carolina. And a kill in system. Nice swing there for Otene.
Well, it starts with a great pass from Bertolino. Now you've got both options in play if you're the setter. And with Wiley jumping up in front of the setter, that holds the middle blocker, Engelbrecht, enough where now you're one-on-one on the outside.
Sixth tie here in set number 2. Georgia Tech had the early lead at 8-2. Carolina on a big run themselves to regain the lead, and it has gone this way since. It was 14-13 Carolina. They traded points back and forth to get to 2019.
And this is kind of what we expected on paper coming into today, that it was going to be a back and forth affair, and it's lived up to its billing so far.
Barrett serving for Carolina. It's a good one. Third ace of the match for Carolina. Their first here in the second set. And it'll force the Yellow Jackets to use a timeout. Tar Heels up by 2 here in set 2. Alongside Corey Carlin, I'm Kyle Stroud. Appreciate you being with us on a Sunday and hope you've enjoyed it. I know we have. We're only in the second set, but this is a back and forth, blow-by-blow affair as Barrett puts it into the net.
Yeah, and that's the second time in the match where Carolina's had a service error out of a timeout. So that's just something they have to start tracking a little bit, be a little more mindful of.
And the first one actually gave Georgia Tech the set 1 win. And with that, it puts Bertoloni back on the line, and she picks up her 4th ace. Georgia Tech has 5 in the match. She's got 4 of them.
And 2 of them off Hampton. So I'm curious here if Mike Shaw would make an adjustment in the serve-receive pattern, maybe move Hampton around or take her out. But
that one clips the tape. Back-to-back aces.
Yeah, they're obviously going after Hampton in this rotation. Bertolino has got just a really great target on her serve. She serves with authority and pace, but she can pinpoint it as well. So I would be pretty surprised if they don't make an adjustment in their serve receive, how they're lining up. They're probably going to shift in some way. You know, an easy fix is to have Hampton step up, and she's still on that left side of the court to transition out and hit, but she's not in passing responsibilities. You know, maybe if you can pass 2 if you're comfortable doing that, but I think to stick her back there one more time at this point, you're flirting with fire. You want to have confidence in your players, you know, 100%. And sometimes players just need a little bit of a mental break when they've been aced twice in a row. You know, some players are fiery and they want to get back in there right away. But both of those last 2 serves were beating Hampton to her left. So if you do keep her in the pattern, you know, a coaching point would be put your left foot on the sideline, you know, get all the way over there, and it's going to hit you straight on if it's inbounds, or you're going to move to your right to pass. So that's another adjustment that could happen here.
Let's see what Carolina does out of the timeout. Both teams have gone through all their timeouts here in this set. Yellow Jackets with the 1-point lead. We're up by as many as 6. Carolina has led by as much as 2. And this set, extremely important for the home team because Carolina's already down 1-0. A reverse sweep can happen, but it's tough.
Yeah.
May and Hampton both go for it. Carolina will have a chance to at least get it over. Can the Yellow Jackets take advantage? Right down the middle they do. 7th kill of the match for Pierce.
What a shot. I think that was Wiley, but what a shot that, you know,
Wiley.
To be able to hit the 11-foot line inside the tee, we call it. Wow.
Schaffmaster with a good pass. Thorpe will get the kill and end the run. Carolina had to have that point.
They had to have it, and you made a great point. You do not want to be down 0-2 against this Georgia Tech team. That makes the mountain to climb even taller. I'm a little surprised that Bertolino went at Schaffmaster there when she had so much success going after Hampton.
Right back down the middle. 5 kills for Wiley.
Boy, how impressive is the attacking range of number 7 in white. We just saw her hit the left tee to the sideline, the 10-foot line, sideline, you know, and the same thing to the right side. So if you're a wing defender in the backcourt, you better get wide and strap in the next time she gets set.
Set point is an ace.
Wow.
Georgia Tech storms back to steal set 2, and they head to the locker room with a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, 2 evenly, you know, paced teams right now. It's just been a couple of things tipping the scale in Georgia Tech's favor. In set 1, it was just a couple of more unforced errors by North Carolina, and in set 2 is just a couple more aces, 2 or 3 more aces for Georgia Tech than what they had previously, and that was the difference.
Both teams hit about 250 on the season, and they're both slightly above that, 275 for Georgia Tech and 263 for Carolina. Schaffmaster into the net. That has been one thing she has struggled with today, where typically hasn't. That's her 4th attack or service error. She had 4 aces on Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something we're not used to seeing from her, particularly in a match of this magnitude. And, you know, she's going to need to establish a serving rhythm next time she comes around.
There's a really good sign for Carolina. Bertolini on the service line, and it's 1 and done.
Yeah, and she did not go at Hampton, so it's, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I would be surprised if they don't go at her the next time she comes around to serve.
Mogridge top of the screen into the body of Barrett. And Mogridge picks up her 5th kill.
And I think we need to talk a little bit about the great job that Miliano, the setter for Georgia Tech, is doing quarterbacking her team. You know, she's not the biggest setter in the ACC, but boy, she can dish the rock and manipulate tempos, get her hitters one-on-one. She's doing a great job today.
Mispass, miscommunication from Carolina gives Georgia Tech their first lead here in this 3rd set. And looking at the stats, we knew Otene and Bertolini were the big pin hitters, but of the 29 kills, 16 today have come from Georgia Tech middles.
Yeah, showing great balance that they didn't show on Friday night. And, you know, that speaks to being able to win in different ways. And that is a characteristic of a top-level team that, hey, one night our outsides are hot. They're going to beat you. The next night, maybe our middles and our right sides are going to cook you. So being able to win and produce in different ways is really impressive.
The kill for Thorpe, her 7th. That's 2nd on the team behind Schaffmaster, who's got 9. Otene drops that one in. And she's got 8.
One of the rare times we've seen the off-speed drive shot. Not a short roller tip, but taking about 3/4 speed swing, driving it deep still, but just enough to get the defense on their heels.
The senior transfer from Illinois State. As Mogridge serves. Foster at the top of the screen. Blocker's got a piece of it. Heads up play by Taylor, and Carolina will get the point on their 6th block of the match.
And an interesting adjustment there. We saw Sophie Hampton playing right side in that rotation, and Imani Foster playing the left side position, which normally that is flipped. So it's probably a little bit of a blocking adjustment from Coach Shaw.
Julia Bollinger, freshman out of Windsor, Colorado, to serve. 2nd time she's seen action in this match today. Tene near side, 2 blockers there. Good job to keep it alive. Free ball, though, for the Yellow Jackets. They run the slide. Bollinger with the dig. Schaffmaster with the kill. Give her 10.
And how about Bollinger standing in there and delivering a great dig off the slide that had been very effective for Georgia Tech.
Carolina back out in front. Tar Heels face the really tough task of having to pull off a reverse sweep, but in order to do so, you've got to start with set 3. Right? That's got to be the mentality.
100%. You have to come into this set kind of erasing the mechanism and starting from scratch. Hey, let's just come out there with the mentality that it's 0-0, and let's just focus on this set. Let's not worry about being down 0-2. Let's just focus on set 3 and getting a win here.
Georgia Tech, part of a reverse sweep not too long ago, was actually against Clemson, the team that Carolina played on Friday. Foster gets the kill and gives the Tar Heels the lead back.
And a great series from UNC. Just didn't panic, still transitioned, worked hard, worked for quality swings, kept the ball alive. That's the kind of work ethic and mentality they need to have.
Taylor serving, had a good run in the second set at the line, picks up the ace. Just the 4th ace for Carolina.
Yeah, Georgia Tech has done a phenomenal job in serve receive today, so maybe a little chink in the armor here if Taylor can get on a run.
2-point Carolina lead. Velez handles that one a little better. Timing off on that slide, though. Chance for the Tar Heels to extend the lead. Foster gets the kill.
And you see what happens when UNC forces Georgia Tech out of rhythm. They have not had a quality swing in the last 2 or 3 plays, and so that has fed for the fire for UNC, and look at the score.
Tar Heels hitting 750 so far. Schaffmaster wins that battle at the net. Swing for, oh, it's Bertolini. Georgia Tech just can't get this one across the net. They do, but it's going to be long.
Wow. We see a timeout here from Georgia Tech. And how about North Carolina coming out, getting on this run? And how about Taylor? Not only does she serve tough from the service line, get an ace, but she also dug a ball in that series from Bertolino and kept the play alive. That UNC won that transition, so great stuff from 21.
And how about the stat line from the freshman Jackie Taylor? She's got just 2 kills, but she's got an ace, she's got an assist, she's got 3 digs, and she's been involved in 4 of the 6 blocks this afternoon for Carolina.
Impressive stuff for sure, and we knew she was a great athlete, comes from an awesome family, and to see her producing like this in this spot in November at home against a ranked opponent, boy, that's stuff that you dream about when you're in high school and club, right?
Carolina winners of 7 straight, one of those 7 over a top 25 ranked Florida State. That was 2 Fridays ago here in Chapel Hill, looking to pick up their 2nd ranked win of the season. But Georgia Tech right now up 2-0. And alongside Corey Carlin, I'm Kyle Straub. You got the momentum if you're Carolina. Georgia Tech calls that timeout. What are you saying if you're Mike Shaw?
You need to have somebody on your coaching staff, and maybe Coach Shaw is doing this himself, but let's track trends. And right now, out of this serve receive, what do we want to do defensively? Right? If we can get a positive block touch or even a stuff, but defend this serve receive right now and keep the pressure on Georgia Tech, that's a talking point for sure. And then also your serving target. So, you know, I'm not sure if Jackie Taylor is what we call a green light server, where you just let her go on her own, or if you're calling zones. But if you're calling zones, you want to make sure you hit where you need to go.
Sends in one to the back corner. Velez the target.
Taylor again.
The slide. There's a dig from Bollinger, but it'll fall in just on the Carolina side.
Boy, you cannot fault the effort on defense for the Tar Heels right now, and that is a big reason why they have the lead.
Ends a 3-0 Tar Heel run. Serve was to Schaffmaster. The set was for her as well. Good defense from Georgia Tech. And Barentino will get the kill.
Yeah, great stuff from Barentino. And you think about that ball was out of system and a little bit underset. She has hit a couple line shots. You know you have that. She has that in her tool bag. So Foster setting her block a little bit outside. I think the block needs to move in when it's underset like that and not give her that 5-6 shot.
Bertolini with 7 kills, second on the team. Right back to her. She tries to cut this one and goes wide.
Yeah, just an awkward angle, tight set, going into the teeth of the block. It's a low percentage play. She went for it, but those are those unforced errors. We haven't seen many at all from Georgia Tech today, but those can start to stack up if you're not careful here.
Yeah, that was their 3rd error here in this set already. Other side swing for Bertolini again. May on the opposite side. Thorpe just able to keep that one in bounds. And somehow it's a Carolina point.
Boy, you see Schaffmaster jumping up and down because she knows that was a tight set that she gave Chelsea Thorpe. And Thorpe, with her just length and her reach, able to hit, kind of push that ball sharp cross enough for the score.
With as close as the first 2 sets have been, it's plays like that 50-50 ball. Which team wins it, that'll help you win the set.
Yeah, it tips the scale for sure. Both of these teams showing great composure, that when the other side goes on a run, they still are settled in and still here to fight. They don't panic.
3-point Tar Heel lead. Engelbrecht down the middle. Bertolini kept it alive. Another chance for Carolina, though. Here's Thorpe. Thorpe gets the kill. Another good night for Chelsea Thorpe. 9 kills for her on 20 swings. She's hitting an even 300 for Carolina.
Yeah, and that's another rotation where Thorpe, who's normally a right side, was playing left side, and Schaffmaster was playing right side. Not something Tar Heels normally do, but we've seen that from both of their pin hitters so far in this set. So that's a mini adjustment. Coach Shaw and his staff look like they're making, possibly for blocking matchup purposes.
Struggle from the service line for Schaffmaster continues as she sends that one long. 6th service error against Schaffmaster. 8 against the Tar Heels in the match. Heads up play from Bertolini on the back line, but she sends it long on the swing.
Yeah, Bertolino just a little bit long on that, and you know, she's saying, my bad, guys. But again, another unforced hitting error starting to stack up here for the Yellow Jackets.
Short serve from May. Here's Hampton. Haven't called her name in a while, but she's going to pick up the kill.
Wow. And if you're Georgia Tech, you know, you got Mogridge, who is attacking at Barrett, the setter, and right back for Carolina. That automatically gets the Tar Heels out of system, so that should feed your defense, right? That should help your defense. And then Sophie Hampton just hammers the ball and makes it really tough.
And you got to like that, even though she's had some struggles in the receive game, it hasn't affected her offensively. Hampton hitting .357 with 7 kills.
Yeah, that's a big reason why she remains on the court. You know, if one area of your game is struggling, you need to be strong in the other areas of your game. You need to bring something positive to your team to stay on the court.
Wiley with the serve, Hampton with the kill.
Yeah, and we're also seeing Georgia Tech hasn't really hit Hampton very much in serve receive. You know, the play before that one, they went at her, she held her own, but the last couple of serves with Hampton in the pattern, they've been going at Schaffmaster, going at May.
Biggest lead of the match for Carolina. Isert with the serve. Top of the screen and a much needed kill. It comes from Liv Mogridge.
And here comes the blocking sub for Georgia Tech. We see Laura Fisher, big 6'3", right side coming in. No setter on the court, at least by position title for Georgia Tech.
How about this? Between the two teams, 6 players hitting above 300 with at least 8 attacks in this match. 3 for each side. Foster gets a kill. That'll put her right at about 300 to make it 4 for Carolina and 3 for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and a great heads-up play by Amani Foster, recognizing there was no setter on the court. You had somebody playing right back who normally doesn't play right back. You disguise your approach and put that soft tip right in front of her. Great veteran move by number 8.
Carolina in the first set hit 175 as a team. Between set 2 and now this third set, that overall match hitting percentage is up to 326 right now.
Incredible turnaround.
Yet they find themselves down 2-0. Foster hammers one home.
Ow. And that shot right there will get this arena pumped up, because not only do you convert for the kill, but almost a headshot, you know, and that kind of a kill is a huge momentum boost, and it's sending a message to your opponent that we are here, we're doing everything we can to win this set, to force this to 5. We have not gone away at all.
Foster with her 6th kill gives Carolina the 6-point lead, forces the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets into their second timeout. Carolina in control here in set 3, looking to force a 4th set after Georgia Tech won 25-23, 25-22 in the first 2. Here's Bollinger to serve for Carolina. Georgia Tech goes to the slide, and it works. They get the kill. 9th kill for Pierce.
Quick tempo slide there. That's been a bread and butter all day from Pierce and Wiley.
Pierce hitting .421 after that kill. Just one attack error for her this afternoon. And uncommon service error, the 3rd of the match against Georgia Tech.
And here's Taylor back behind the service line. She went on a great run earlier in this set.
The tape still handled well, though, by Georgia Tech, and they'll get the point.
Well, they are so good running that 1-foot takeoff behind the setter. They've run it at some different tempos and different locations, making it extremely difficult for the left front blockers, in this case Schaffmaster, to make a read.
And how big is it to have a senior like Pierce on your team, who's a transfer from a school like Texas? You played in big-time matchups.
Yeah, she's not afraid of the lights.
Foster off the blockers. Great job keeping that one alive by Otene. Second chance for the Tar Heels. Back to Foster. A violation going to be called, though. It'll be a point for the Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech within 4. Deep serve to May. Engelbrecht will get the kill.
Absolutely love that set from Eisert. When you think about the last time we've called a middle hitter's name from in front of the setter, and Engelbrecht has been quiet for a good stretch. Let's get her going again.
It's one thing that with so many outside hitters, Foster, Hampton, Thorpe, Schaffmaster, Carolina doesn't get the middles involved that much. Would you like to see that expand?
In key moments, I mean, the short answer, yes, 100%. If you can get, you know, 6, 7 hitters involved offensively, that's huge, especially if they're executing. But there's key moments of the match. If you're not a team that features their middles very often or consistently, there are key moments you can set them, and it makes a big difference. And I think this is kind of one of those times in the match where you've got to lead. We haven't seen middle production a ton yet. It's another wrinkle to throw at Georgia Tech.
Another error against the Yellow Jackets. They continue to shoot themselves in the foot here in this third set. Schaffmaster back to serve. She's struggled from the line so far this afternoon.
Delivers a rocket there.
Otene handles it well, and it's a kill. Bertolino. She's got 10.
This is a stage in this set and in the match where Georgia Tech needs to raise their level a little bit, play a little bit cleaner, getting back to what brought them success in sets 1 and 2.
Overpass and an opportunity. Right down the middle. And a kill.
And we
Wiley
just
gets that
mentioned,
one.
yeah, we just mentioned about the middles, and that was a shot that bore fruit at the end of set 2, and why not go right back to it?
Carolina looking to extend their Sunday afternoon. Georgia Tech, though, wants to end things in 3. They have battled back to down by 3.
Be very surprised if Bertolino doesn't go at Hampton here.
Serve into the net. Could tell from that throw that it was a little bit rushed. He was behind things.
Yeah, not a great toss, and when you're a jump topspin server, it's all about rhythm, and it starts with a consistent toss. That one a little bit low and quick.
3 service errors in this set for Georgia Tech. They had just 2 through the first 2 sets. Wow. Wiley skies for her 8th kill.
Yeah, and I think, boy, the block for North Carolina, on the one hand, you need to recognize it's a backcourt setter. On the other hand, if you think that ball's going to break the plane at all, you have to be aggressive. Great play by Emiliano.
Barrett with a back set for Thorpe. And it's going to be a point for Carolina off the top of the scoreboard, the bottom of the scoreboard. If that ball had stayed on Georgia Tech's side, they would have continued to play. Because it crossed the net, though, deemed out of bounds.
Yep.
Thorpe, who typically doesn't serve, a 3-rotation player, is going to serve here for Carolina. Not a bad serve from her. Opportunity for the Heels. They go to Hampton. Suffy with her 9th kill.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to see a timeout here from Georgia Tech.
They're out of them. They used them early already.
You're right. You're right.
Carolina jumped out to an 8-2 lead and forced the Yellow Jackets to use an early one. 2 points away from taking this one and forcing a 4th set. Another good serve from Thorpe. Coaching staff may want to rethink that 3-rotation thing.
Right.
Jump ball, and Georgia Tech wins it.
Yeah, and it is now or never for this set if you're Georgia Tech. One side out gives Carolina set point. Sophie Hampton back in the pattern.
Isert checks in for Carolina, as does Foster. Mogridge to serve for Georgia Tech.
Again, no setter by trade on the court for Georgia Tech. We'll see what they do in transition. They get the opportunity.
Hampton the target, Foster the swing, Velez with the dig. Isert back to Foster. Nobody's going to dig that
Wow.
one.
Wow. How impressive has North Carolina been in this set? Coming out of the locker room after the break, they've been firing on all cylinders. They've managed their unforced errors. They've stayed assertive. You look at the hitting percentage in this set, 600. I mean,
that was the 6th kill for Imani Foster. Had just 1 in the first 2 sets. Set point, Hampton the serve. Otene is blocked, Carolina. Forces a 4.
It's a pretty good bench, you know, some depth. So different players can contribute at different times, and we're seeing that play out.
Postseason implications in terms of seeding, and has the feel of a postseason match as we get the 4th set underway. Barrett with a huge dig. 3 blockers in front of Schaffmaster. An opportunity for Georgia Tech. Bertolino with a couple of swings, couldn't get the kill. Schaffmaster finally gets the first point.
Yep, great hustle, great defense from both teams. Just a little bit better from Carolina. I love the adjustment that May made on Bertolino, where she played a little deeper drop defensively and was able to dig that ball easily.
Barrett serving for the Tar Heels, having another good game. 21 assists, 7 digs.
Tight set.
Velez handled that one well. Barrett keeps it alive. Back to Thorpe. Tene with the dig. The blocker is there, but it falls in for a Georgia Tech point.
Wow. There's some nuance in that swing that's probably difficult for folks to pick up on in live play, but what Bertolino did there was she hesitated on her swing just enough to get the blockers on the way down. That's how she was able to get that tool shot.
At the service line, and that one clips the end line. No, it does.
Great serve from Bertolino. She normally goes after Hampton in this rotation. That time, splitting the seam between May and Schaffmaster.
6 aces in the match, and that one will give it back to Carolina. Just the 2nd service error against her.
Yeah, interesting philosophy, choosing to go more at Schaffmaster here early in set 4.
Here's Schaffmaster to serve. Velez handles it well right down the middle. Wiley couldn't get a good swing on it. Timing seemed to be off. Hampton for Carolina. Great dig on the other side. And Otene will send it long.
Yeah, that's a really difficult play for Otene. You know, when you have an out-of-system set that's that high, you have to have an extreme amount of patience and let it come down in a good rhythm. That's just a tough play for an outside hitter.
First 5 points have been traded. Overpass, Thorpe hammers it home.
And now we're starting to see the Schaffmaster serving prowess that we're used to seeing. And she's such an effective server. She can hit it a million miles an hour, but she just needs to get it in 2 or 3 times, get a rhythm. She's doing that now. That one's a rocket.
Tolino handled it well. Otene with a swing off the top of the tape, though. Thorpe, can she make it 3 in a row? No. The Georgia Tech block, which has been almost non-existent, picks up a big one there. Just their 3rd of the match.
Yeah, Thorpe shaking her head a little bit. She realized she drove that ball down a little too much into the seam, into the teeth of the block.
The freshman Wiley serving. And it's going to be an ace. 10 in the match for Georgia Tech.
Now, North Carolina can recognize there's no libero right now. You've got Wiley in the backcourt, so if they can get a quality swing in her direction, make her play defense.
Carolina in system. Hampton with a swing. Blockers got enough of a piece of it. Mogridge. Great job to keep that one alive. That was Otene, I think. Thorpe off the blockers and a kill.
Wow.
She's got a dozen.
Great adjustment by Chelsea Thorpe. The last time she got blocked, she's going down into the seam. That time, high outside hand, tooling the block of Otene. But how about Otene earlier in that play, keeping the ball alive, not crossing the center line. Great body control there.
Serve from May. 10A sends it long. After being the most efficient hitter in Friday's 5-set win for Georgia Tech, she's had a struggle of it here this afternoon. That was her 5th attack error, making her 6th. Right down the middle, a dig for Schaffmaster on the swing from Pierce. Thorpe tried to spot it and sent it wide.
She had success kind of throwing that ball sharp cross court earlier in the match. Tried to repeat it there, just a little bit long.
Mogridge serving, line drive right at Schaffmaster.
Great up by Bertolino.
May with a diving dig. Thorpe gets it over. Slide, and it's another dig. Pierce couldn't get the kill. Hampton, great defense from both sides. Bertolino from the back line.
Tight set.
Third time for Hampton.
Wow. I have no idea, Kyle, how she kept out of the net on that tight set and be able to get the ball to the floor with authority. I mean, just top-notch athleticism from 22 in blue. And that's a long rally. We see players from both sides with hands on their hips right now, trying to catch their breath.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, as we play longer and longer, does it benefit Carolina because Georgia Tech is on the road and they played a 5-setter on Friday? Or are both teams going to be in the same spot?
I think both teams are going to be feeling this one regardless. This is a battle. We're seeing long rallies, great defensive plays, a lot of multiple transitions from front court players. I think it slightly favors the team that's in the 6-2 because you've got more players that get a breather, right? That rotate out and then come back in, where Georgia Tech running the 5-1, their players are on the court longer and more often. So I think that might tip the scale a little bit in the favor of the Tar Heels.
Taylor wins the net game there, picks up her 3rd kill and extends the lead back to 2. Bollinger will check back in and serve. One of the adjustments that Mike Shull and his staff has made, as we've seen Julia check in the last couple of sets and serve for the Tar Heels. Slide, and Schaffmaster is in. 8th block for Carolina.
She has seen enough of that slide that she understands the rhythm, and great sequencing, good blocking move, pressing up at the right time.
Georgia Tech with just 2 kills so far in this set. May with a dig, and another opportunity for Georgia Tech. They'll bump it over. May keeps it alive. Isert, Schaffmaster. Georgia Tech wanted a call there on Schaffmaster, pushing it with 2. They don't get it, and the Tar Heels get the kill.
Wow.
You think they had it right?
That's such a tough call because, you know, with the rule change, anything that's on your side of the net is a little bit more loose, and so to call the double on a ball going over the net that's kind of tight, like it's not obvious, right? I think that's just, it's tough. I can see it either way, honestly, and you know, it's got to be frustrating for Georgia Tech not only to not get a call like that in the moment, but their left side, you know, they're hitting negative right now in the current set offensively, and a lot of that has to do with the defense of Carolina and the adjustments they've made against the left sides of Georgia Tech. They've made it very hard for the Yellow Jackets to score.
Great job to keep that one in bounds. Bertolino on the top of the screen. She picks up her 12th kill. That leads the way for Georgia Tech.
And it was just a great shot finding the corner there.
The junior Velez serves. Foster with the swing. Down the middle. Riley couldn't get it.
Carolina
wanted a call, thought it was in the net.
Yeah, I was about to say the exact same thing. They wanted to.
And I think they're going to take a look at this one. Mike Shaw picks up the card. Talks with one of his players and instead puts it back down. That's the, like you said, having trust in what your players tell you.
He asked Jackie Taylor, did you touch that ball at all? She said yes, and so, okay, we won't challenge it, but check with your players first.
Really good job by the referees today. We haven't had a single challenge from either side. Maybe some calls that each side have not liked, but nothing that they've brought out that challenge card for.
Yeah, they flirted with it a couple of times, but you're right. Really good job being consistent with our officiating crew here. And we spoke too soon. We do have a challenge from Georgia Tech, and they're challenging whether there was a net violation. That's the initial call or the signal from our R2.
Goes to a point for Carolina, makes it 11-8. When we return, we'll have a result. Does it stay that way, or is it a 10-9 match? We're in the 4th set here in Chapel Hill. And a point will stay with Carolina. Really quick look at that one, and we get back into action. Big bumps are set to the other side. A dig from Taylor. It's gonna be the 5th dig for Taylor. The blocker's there, but it's out of bounds. Point, Yellow Jackets.
Well, regardless of what happens the rest of this match, you got to give a gold star to Taylor on defense. You know, when you're seeing an opposing middle serve and play back court, you want to attack her. You want to go at her and make her play defense, and she's holding her own back there. 5
digs, 7 blocks, 3 kills for the freshman. Schaffmaster sends that one long. No, it's touched at the net. Point, Carolina.
Great veteran play, driving high hands. Again, a shot we haven't seen much of. So when you get deep into a match, if you can bring out different shots that the blockers haven't seen, that's a huge advantage.
A dozen kills for Schaffmaster to go along with 8 digs.
Maybe a little adrenaline there on that miss from Barrett. Sails well long.
Bertolino at the service line. Carolina very quickly, though, able to take care of it as Thorpe tools it off the blockers for her 13.
Yeah, and because of the rotations and how they work, both teams starting in the same rotation, but in that last serve receive, Hampton not on the court, so you had 3 primary passers in your pattern handling the Bertolino serve much better there.
And with Schaffmaster at the line, if Carolina can go on a run themselves, get a little separation, not going to happen though. Mabry sends it wide.
Yeah, she's a little frustrated, just missed. That's the right idea. You can cut that jump topspin cross court to the sideline. You're making the passer shift to her right toward the out of bounds. That's a difficult pass to make.
Freshman Wiley to serve. 8 kills, 3 digs. Thorpe with a heads-up play. Wiley gets the dig, though. Back to Thorpe. A little bit harder, but a great dig back line. Bertolino. May with one herself. Here's Hampton near side.
Wow.
So many options.
Well, a key difference in this set has been Carolina's ability to defend the left sides of Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is getting great looks. They're getting one-on-ones and some seams for the left side attackers, but the backcourt defenders of Carolina have made that adjustment. They're stepping in there and just robbing kills.
Short serve from May. Swing comes near side. Blockers got it to the back line, somehow getting to her feet and keeping it alive for Georgia Tech. That was Emiliano, and North Carolina gets the point. Hampton's got a dozen. Schaffmaster has a dozen. Thorpe has 13. And a timeout as Carolina has a 4-point lead here in fourth set. Top 25 matchup, and it has lived up to the hype. Carolina and Georgia Tech in a battle here in the fourth set. If you're joining us late, it was Georgia Tech winning 25-23 and 25-22 before the Tar Heels took a 25-19 winner in the third set. Good serve from May Thorpe.
Wow.
14 kills for her, and as the season has gone on, she has become more and more of a weapon for Mike Shaw's team.
And she has been phenomenal today, what we say, taking out the trash or cleaning up the junk. There's been multiple overdigs, overpasses, kind of junk plays come at her. She's put every one of those away.
Carolina took on Florida State as the Yellow Jackets get a much-needed point. Carolina took on Florida State here Friday last week, and Thorpe led the way offensively. Led the way again offensively last game on Friday against Clemson. The fact that she's becoming just as big of a weapon as Schaffmaster, it's got to be really encouraging, knowing you've also got other players to chip in.
Yeah, you know, when you're in that conversation as a point scorer for your team, especially at this level playing these kind of opponents, that is the best that you can have. You want to have 3 or 4 players like that. And, you know, now she's back at the service line. They trust her in this role as well.
I was going to say, it's earning her more playing time because she usually isn't a server. We've seen it now the last 2 sets. She's getting that chance, though.
Yeah, and it saves you a sub if you've got confidence in her back there. All positive things.
May with a dig. Her 17th of the match, and Hampton gets the kill.
Well,
defense turning into offense.
And I am looking at the reaction of the bench of North Carolina. Everyone in Carolina blue hitting the deck, cheering on the assist of Chelsea Thorpe. And when you've got a player like Thorpe that the team roots for, and she comes through in big spots, that is a huge momentum boost for your team.
How about the line for Thorpe? 14 kills on 34 swings. She's hitting .294. She's got 2 assists now, 3 digs, a couple of blocks as well.
Yeah, she's someone that you're definitely aware of if you were Georgia Tech coming in this match, but I'm not sure they expected this kind of performance from number 77.
If you're in the stadium, if you're watching this match and you've seen the entirety of it, Georgia Tech clearly had momentum through the first 2 sets.
Yep.
Wouldn't have been a surprise. They came out, won that third set, and got a sweep. At this moment right now, though, it feels like it's completely on Carolina's side. What do you do to turn things around if you're Georgia Tech? Because the last thing they want to see is another 5th set on the road.
Correct, and that's starts creeping in the back of your mind a little bit. So the important thing, the key here is stay focused in the now, right? We're not going to run a play to earn 6 points and tie the score. So
it'd be nice if you could.
Correct, yeah. We got to chip away at this thing, and so it's about the little things right now. Let's just execute and serve, receive. I think they do need to be aware that Carolina's defense against the left sides has been pretty stellar. So do you run a little quicker tempo to the pins if you want to set them, or do you move them around perhaps, run like a combination play just to give them a different look? Because so far that straight outside 4 set or outside go set, Carolina's all over that defensively.
6-point Tar Heel lead here in the 4th set. May comes up with a dig. But 10-8 couldn't get the kill. Hampton does, though.
And I tell you what, Georgia Tech did exactly what we were just talking about. They bring Oteni inside on a 2-ball, which we hadn't seen all match. And May still answers the call, makes a great dig for a transition swing to Hampton. Boy,
Maddie May with 18 digs to go along with 6 assists. I don't think coming into the season that she was looked at least across the ACC, as one of the better liberos. But Mitch, she's making a case for herself this season.
And particularly in this match, I mean, for the last 2 sets, she has played stellar in the backcourt.
Thorpe clips the tape near side, and that one is a good swing from Otenye. Needed her to get that kill there, and it is her 10th of the match.
Yeah, and that's another example of kind of moving her hitters around. We haven't seen a lot of attempts from her on the right side. So good heads-up play call there out of serve receive.
10-8 to serve now. Isert keeps it away from the net. Imani Foster a little bit long on the swing, though. Just the 3rd attack there against Carolina in this set.
Yeah, we've got Layla Harper in for Georgia Tech now. So, you know, when you're at this point in the match, maybe switching up some personnel, switching up some attacking routes, just presenting something different.
Much needed ace. Pulls Georgia Tech back within striking distance. That was their 11th ace of the match. Foster ends the run. 8 kills for Foster.
And put yourself in the shoes of the defenders for Georgia Tech for just a moment. We know about Shaftmaster. We just talked about Thorpe, what she's bringing. Taylor's been effective today. And you've got Hampton and Foster that are both hitting dynamic shots, different ranges. I mean, boy, you have to defend all 900 square feet of the court right now if you're the Yellow Jackets.
Opportunity for Carolina here is Mabry Shaftmaster. 3 blockers there, deny her. Bump set from May. 3 blockers still there. May keeps it alive again. 3rd time for Shaftmaster. What else can you say?
Just a heads-up play from the veteran, which we've seen so many times in Carmichael, where she's had multiple looks. She recycles, hits 3 different shots on 3 different swings. Extremely difficult to defend.
13 kills for Mabry Shaftmaster. That's 3rd for Carolina. Hampton and Thorpe both with 14. And how about this for the opposite? We talked a little bit earlier about how the middles for Georgia Tech were so involved. The pins for Carolina have 45 of their 55 kills this afternoon.
If you were to say, hey, Corey, maybe Shaftmaster has 13 kills, hitting over 260, and she's 3rd on the team in double-digit kills and percentage, I would say Carolina won, right? I mean, and if they can keep riding this wave, I think they found the recipe where they can push this to 5 and possibly pull out the reverse sweep. Because right now, Georgia Tech does not have any answers.
If Carolina can push it to 5, it's somewhere they have had a lot of success this season. Actually, they've had all the success. 5 5-set matches. They are 5-0.
And at this point in the season, that does play into your confidence level. If you're a team that has played, 4, 5, 6 or more 5-setters and you've come out victorious, then you go in that 5th set pretty confident, right? Because we've been here before. And then you've been a part of teams sometimes where it's been the flip, or maybe you've been to 5 or 6 5-setters and you've come out on the short end. And that can also have a little bit of a psychological effect, like, oh man, here we go again, right? So
Georgia Tech has been pretty good themselves. They've played 5 5-set matches as well, 1-4. They lost their first match of the season in 5 to UCLA. They've won the next 4, though, including Friday against Duke. Top of the screen, Foster. Well, 10-8 got the dig, but Carolina goes back to Foster again, and she gets the kill.
Boy, Georgia Tech is trying to do things that bore fruit earlier in the match. You saw that set to Pierce on the quick one. She hit it to the wide tee in the right back, which scored earlier. This time, Isert's right there for the dig.
So from Bollinger, deep one. Near side swing and a whistle. Point for Georgia Tech. I think they got Schaffmaster getting into the net there.
Yep, off the hands off Schaffmaster. That's Harper's first kill. We haven't called her name yet. Getting some action here in set 4. Can she provide a spark?
Senior out of West Virginia. Back to Foster, heads up play, but a nice job by Harper to keep it alive. Isert with a dig. What a heads up play for
Wow. Oh my. Wiley thought she had a wide open net on that overpass, wanted to put it down with authority. If you're a young middle blocker watching this match, that's a great example of hustle. If you can challenge an overpass attempt from your opponent, get up there with your hands and try to deny that ball. Great job by Taylor.
10th block of the match for Carolina. Taylor has been involved in 8 of them. And a point for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, the Yellow Jackets desperately need some kind of momentum here. It's a little bit of a tall row to try to battle back in this set with the score as it is. You know, if you get to 20, that makes it interesting, but so far all the momentum's been on the side of the Tar Heels, so you want to get a little bit of swagger if this does indeed go to the 5th set.
A big reason for that is how clean Carolina has played. After the first set loss, they had only hit 175 in the match. They're currently at 326 in the match. So including that first set, they're still that high. How impressive is that to change from, hey, look at all these mistakes, to clean volleyball through 2.5, almost 3 full sets?
Well, that resets the bar because now everyone in Carolina Blue knows what they're capable of because they've done it. And that builds confidence for the rest of this match, but then even going into your upcoming matches because, hey, we were down on our home court and look at how we executed. Look at how we fought back.
As always, we talk about it and it happens. An attack error as Schaffmaster hit it into the antenna. Tar Heels go to Engelbrecht. You talked about those times when it was important to go to a middle. That was one of them, obviously.
Yeah, I've always felt as a coach, if your middles aren't a mainstay in your offense, you know, if you can set them when you're in like the middle teens to try to get some separation, and definitely after 20.
Barrett, who's got a double-double, 24 assists, 11 digs. Set point. May gets a hand on it, but it'll go into the stands.
It remains set point, Carolina.
Yeah, one of the rare misses in the last couple of sets from May, digging the middle. She has been stellar on defense. That one just a little too much pace.
Mogridge up to 7 kills in a match. Set point 2 for Carolina. In system, Engelbrecht finishes it off.
Oh no, they call a carry, call a lift on Engelbrecht. Boy,
You got to regroup if you're Carolina.
Yep, Coach Shaw's not happy about that, but just take a deep breath, refocus. Here we go. We still have 4 set points.
Big serve from Bertolini. Thorpe. Georgia Tech gets it over. Another chance for Carolina to put it away and force a 5th set. Thorpe gets the kill. 25-20, Carolina takes it.
That happened to this point and just start fresh, 0-0.
Senior setter Emiliano starts things off. Tar Heels go to Schaffmaster, and she's going to be blocked. How about that to start things off? Just the 4th Georgia Tech block gets the first point.
Well, a good play design. You know, they had been scoring with Engelbrecht on the quick one in front of the setter. They run that play and try to set Schaffmaster over it, but the block of Georgia Tech, reading it well.
And an ace. 12 aces for Georgia Tech. Seven straight wins for the Yellow Jackets, 6 straight for Carolina. 1 will see their winning streak end this afternoon. Velez keeps it alive. Mogridge. And it's 3 in a row to start things off for the Yellow Jackets.
Boy, being in the right place at the right time, kind of that junk play, but it gives Georgia Tech a 3-0 lead. And if you're Georgia Tech, this is what you needed. You had to start set 5 strong, right? Aggressive serving, followed up with good net presence, good transition swing. Mogridge had a really good swing there on the second point. So you know, if you're Carolina, no need to panic here. You're down 0-3. It's just 0-3. We still have a strong lineup. You know, do you go back to Engelbrecht here? You know, they've had a lot of success on the right side. Very interested to see what play call or what offensive play we're going to run out of the serve receive from Mike Shaw's team.
Thorpe, Schaffmaster, Engelbrecht, along with May, Bollinger, and Barrett out there for the Tar Heels.
Because right now, Barrett is front row. So, you know, you set up in this rotation, assuming you're going to side out quickly and then get back to your kind of normal rotation with her and right back. So in a two-hitter phase, you're a little bit more limited. You know, Chelsea Thorpe is not known for her back row attacking, especially, you know, as a staple in the offense. She can do it for sure, but, you know, very curious to see what they run here. Do they run a slide with Engelbrecht, something we don't see very often?
Emiliano coming off a match where she had 37 assists and 20 digs against Duke. Doesn't have as many digs, just 5 tonight, but 44 assists for her to help run that Georgia Tech offense. Deep serve to May. Schaffmaster gets the swing, and she'll get the kill.
Wow. Against a triple block, no less. Boy, how many teams would love to have a Mabry Schaffmaster who it's out of system, everyone in the gym knows you're going to get the ball, and you can still sneak it through a triple block.
14 kills for Schaffmaster. And there's a kill for Georgia Tech off of the block of Thorpe.
Boy, and Bertolino desperately needed that. You know, Schaffmaster is scoring on her side. You need to respond on your side.
And it sends her back to the service line now with a 3-point lead. She's got 16 kills to lead everybody. May handles the serve well. Engelbrecht can't get the kill, though. Chance for Georgia Tech. Out of bounds, long on the swing from Otene.
Yeah, that ball set a little bit inside. Otene had scored going cross court. You know, I think she tried to shave that a little bit sharper, knowing that May had been there the last couple of sets.
Both offenses playing maybe a little bit tight here. They've each made 2 attack errors. Mogridge down the near sideline gets the kill.
Yep, and I think that is the X factor right now, because if you're taking inventory, looking at the stat sheet, Mogridge has had a stellar match. She's hitting 400, 7 kills, 17 attempts, no errors, and so I think she's in the front court for one more rotation. I would expect her to get a ton of volume here.
Short serve, gonna trickle over the net.
Wow.
Riley with the bounce.
Wow.
13th ace and a 4-point lead here in the 5th set.
So disheartening if you're a passer for UNC, because there's absolutely nothing you can do about that.
Deeper serve this time from Wiley. Hampton with the swing. Couple of players there to keep it alive for Georgia Tech. The block for Carolina, though. Number 11 on the afternoon.
Yep, Otene trying to switch up her shot there at the last second. Saw a little bit of a seam, but it closed quickly. Engelbrecht diving inside, denying that ball.
Carolina needs to put a couple points together here as Maddie May gets a serve. Down the middle, timing seemed a little off, but an overpass will give the Yellow Jackets another chance. Mogridge, blockers there. Again, Mogridge. Barrett down the middle for Taylor. Thorpe into the net.
Oh my. That's one where the eyes get big. You get that ball right back up to you after you deny it. Boy, the adrenaline was flowing because you want that emphatic kill right now, and there was an opportunity, just missed.
That'll send Mogridge back to serve. 8 kills, 1 block, no errors. Here's Hampton near side, and it's going to be kept alive. Somehow got it over. No time, no chance this time.
And a great set from Barrett. A little quicker tempo, and anytime you have an athlete like Hampton who just gets up as high as she does, she can really elevate. If you can get it to her a little faster, right? A little quicker set with that leaping ability, it's extremely difficult for the block to close.
for Hampton, her 15th kill that ties her with Thorpe for the team high. Thorpe will go back to serve. Carolina down by 3 here in set number 5. That's an ace for Thorpe. Just the 5th Carolina ace in this match.
Yeah, and Sandin, the passer there, she's mad at herself. She realized she had an opportunity, and any ace is magnified in the 5th set. You see Georgia Tech make a shift in their pattern, moving Otenye back.
Deep serve. Thorpe will give it right back, though. And we'll switch sides. Georgia Tech jumped out to a 3-0 lead. Sides and a substitution for Georgia Tech, and we are back ready to go here in the 5th set. 8-5 Yellow Jackets. First to 15, win by 2. Tar Heels go to Foster, top of the screen, drops that one in the corner. She's now got 10 kills, 4 Tar Heels with double-digit kills.
And the impressive thing about the offense for the Tar Heels today is that once you start calling a player's name, then you call someone else's name, right? So we haven't called Foster's name for a minute, but every time we do, every time she gets attempts, she comes through.
Bollinger in and back to serve for the Heels. Have cut the lead to 2 a couple of times in this set. Haven't been any closer since it was 1-0. They'll get there on that swing that sends it way out of bounds.
Yeah, and one of the first
for Georgia Tech.
One of the first miscues we've really seen on that slide. That ball was set a little bit high, a little bit too far off the net.
Neither team playing very well here in this 3rd set offensively. 3 kills, 3 errors, 10 swings for Georgia Tech. 3 kills, 2 errors, 10 swings for North Carolina.
Now, both teams understand the magnitude of victory here and what that can do for you. As we mentioned, for NCAA tournament seeding purposes, a win against a top 25 team boosts your resume, especially when it's in conference. And so this is a really huge match for both teams. Both teams maybe playing a little bit tight here in the 5th set, recognizing the value of a win. You know, if you're Georgia Tech, you start off strong, but as we also mentioned, errors in a 5th set are magnified a little bit, unforced errors. If you get blocked, that's one thing that's going to happen in this sport, but if you hit balls out of bounds, if you serve balls in the net, those are magnified in 5th sets when you're playing an opponent of this caliber. So whichever team can play a little bit cleaner the rest of the way is probably going to have the edge.
For Carolina, there is still Stanford, Louisville. So 3 more ranked opponents and some opportunities to build, or if you look at what those 3 teams have done, you hope to be able to survive those matches and still come out looking good with the resume. And like you said, a win here against Georgia Tech really helps that.
It really does. And you know, if you have a loss against a top 25 team, that doesn't really hurt you per se, especially if it's competitive, right? The committee does look at that, but if you have a win against a top 25 team, that really gives your resume a bump.
Tar Heels looking to tie it up for the first time here in this set as Bollinger gets things back underway. Another good serve from her. A little bit out of system for Georgia Tech. There to Lino. Blocked but kept alive. 3rd time for her, and this one will fall in. 12 blocks in the match for Carolina, and we are tied at 8.
Boy, and 3 times in a row, you deny one of the best attackers for the Yellow Jackets.
Is that a situation where you would like to see that ball maybe go somewhere else for Georgia Tech, or were they kind of pigeonholed into, you have to keep coming to the near side?
Well, you're in a 2-hitter phase. You know, they just made substitutions to run it into a 6-2 look, but when you're a 2-hitter phase without really a backcourt outlet, you know, Otene's back there. I haven't really seen her in the back row much, but Yeah, you're pretty much down to one option there.
3-0 run for Carolina, looking for their first lead of the set. Right down the middle, pancake from May.
Wow.
Opportunity for Georgia Tech. Isert got a fingertip on it. Schaffmaster. Velez keeps it alive. And a free ball for the Tar Heels. Overpass. Neither team getting a good swing. That one is touched at the net by Carolina.
Wow.
Georgia Tech takes the lead back.
And that's a play that Georgia Tech needed. Pretty gutsy here to switch to the 6-2 at this juncture of the match, which we haven't really seen except for the blocking sub when you see Fisher come in. But this is now a true 6-2 look. You know, when you've got Ashlyn Goldsby coming into set, and how's that setter-hitter connection when she hasn't been in the match yet?
Sophia Velez to serve. Isert. Great job to keep that one where Taylor could get a swing on it.
Yeah, and great job by Taylor. She has been stellar today in the reps that she's gotten, the opportunity she's had, not just from the service line, but in the back court, the front court.
4 kills, 5 digs, 2 assists, 9 blocks. Back to serve now. Near side. Opportunity for Carolina to take the lead. They go to Foster. And it is a great job to keep that one from falling. Otene off the tips of the fingers of Engelbrecht. Point, Georgia Tech.
Boy, that is a great example of what hustle can do for your team. Georgia Tech was not going to let that ball fall. All 6 players hustling after that first contact, that first dig that was shanked.
15 digs, sorry, 16 for Otene, second on the team. Carolina goes back to Schaffmaster. Velez comes up with a dig. Here to Lino. Foster ties it up.
Wow. And now Georgia Tech is back to their normal rotation, what they're used to. With Milano back in setting.
Carolina will get Barrett and Thorpe back on the court.
You know, with the production that it's been the last set and a half, the last 2 sets, I would be surprised if they don't go after Mogridge here.
Third tie, and it's going to stay as a Georgia Tech lead, though. Still haven't had a lead change.
Boy, shows you what I know, going right out to Bertolino. She delivers. Great stuff from number 5.
Her 17th kill, and now goes back to serve. Barron to Engelbrecht. She's going to be blocked, though. That was Wiley, the freshman, and a 2-point Georgia Tech lead.
Boy, and that was a heads-up play by the blockers of Georgia Tech, particularly Wiley. You know, Barrett's back row, she goes up. You don't want to jump with that back row setter. She delays her block and denies Engelbrecht. Awesome play.
Carolina going to call a timeout, their last one. 5th and final set. If you're not familiar with volleyball, doesn't go to 25, it's just a 15. So we're down to the final few points here potentially. I say potentially because I did that Florida State UNC game, and one set was finished off 34-32.
That's deep into overtime right there.
Is there much that as a coach you're drawing up in this, or is it gut check time? You practice and you just got to let the players go out there and do it.
In a match like this, in a moment like this, you don't want to cloud their minds. You want to keep things very clear and concise. You might give them one coaching point. You know, here's one thing we want to focus on, or maybe one play we want to run, but that's it. It's all about who wants it more, right? You're not going to let a ball hit the floor if anything comes to your zone. Play your position well. Read your, just get after it.
Carolina, very balanced attack like it has been all season long. Hampton and Thorpe with 15 kills, Schaffmaster with 14, Foster with 11. Bertolino leading the way with 17 for Georgia Tech, Pierce with 12, Otene with 11, Wiley Mogridge at 9 and 8. So balance on both sides. It's not just the big names getting it done.
Boy, is this fun or what?
It really is. Maddie May with 20 digs to lead the way for both teams. Deep serve, and it goes just long.
Wow.
I think they're going to take a look at this one, and why not at this point?
For sure, you know, that's a huge point swing. You know, being tied 12-all or 13-11 is a huge difference right now.
It'd be 13-10. They gave Carolina that point already, so it'd be taken
That's right.
off. Yeah,
That's
it's an even
right.
bigger swing.
Yeah, this would be a huge reversal if any part of that ball touched any part of the line. And we saw some of the coaches from Carolina kind of signaling, oh, it's just out, you know, kind of giving that inch signal. But again, if any part of the ball touches any part of that back line, then it's considered in, and this would be a reversal. And how huge would that be for Georgia Tech?
Regardless of what way this goes, it's a huge call and a huge point. And another quick review. They've got the answer they want to the scorer's table, and it's Carolina point.
Call stands.
12-11, and the Tar Heels will have the serve. Mabry Schaffmaster back there.
Now, out of this last rotation, Georgia Tech ran Wiley on like a 31, spreading the block, trying to get one-on-one with Mogridge behind. See if they run that same play here.
Near side swing and a kill. Otene.
Boy, what a great time for her to score and get back on track. How about Velez with the pass, though?
Yeah, handled that serve really well.
Yeah.
12 kills for Otene. Georgia Tech 2 points away from the match win. There's the freshman Wiley. Barrett for Thorpe.
Wow.
16 kills for Thorpe.
I would anticipate more volume going to her these last 2 or 3 points, whatever it winds up being, because she has been on fire the last set and a half.
Her and Hampton hitting 324 and 464 respectively. Both out on the court right now for Carolina. Mogridge denied. Otene finesses that one.
Boy, what a gutsy time to go for that shot. We haven't seen short tips much all afternoon. To dial that up right there and to score with it. Awesome stuff from number 9.
Match point for Georgia Tech. Carolina needs to score at least a couple to extend this. Mogridge to serve. Barrett for Hampton. She's blocked. Georgia Tech wins it.
Wow. What a match.
Just the 6th block of the match. And who would have said it would have ended any other way, right? That's how it had gone all match long.